If you're visiting Athens and you enjoyed visiting the Acropolis, then you may want to consider this day trip I'm about to recommend. It's 2 hours drive from Athens, or you can get numerous coaches and tour parties that do the same. The first stop, about an hour and a half from Athens, is the ancient city-state of Mykines from mythology and legend. The second stop is the city of Argos with its Roman ruins, and this is a town with 7,000 years of history, the longest continuously occupied site in Europe. The third place I would recommend a visit to is Nafplio, the fortress city from medieval period. So, starting with the first stop on our tour, Mykines. This is about an hour and a half from Athens and is very busy. It's a hugely popular tourist site with many tours being run here daily from Athens. You can either get a hire car and drive down here yourself. The route down is fantastic, with the first hour or so being along an amazing coastal motorway with fantastic views. You come off the motorway at Nemea, which is where Hercules slew the Nemean lion, and then you follow signs to Dervenakia and Mykines. It's a really easy drive and it's beautiful all the way down. But this is a city-state within Greece at the time of Sparta, at the time of Athens, from about 1600 BC to about 1200 BC. The Greeks believe as fact that Mykines was founded by Perseus, the Perseus who killed the Medusa, the woman who could turn people to stone with her glare and had snakes in her head. And that's the whole point of Mykines. Mykines is a land of mythology and a time of mythology. The great grandson of Perseus was Hercules, and Hercules performed his 12 labours from Tiryns, which is only 12 kilometres down the road and another part of the Mycenaean Empire. Mykines, as we see it now, the ruins, was also the home of Agamemnon, who was king here. And Agamemnon was the king who went to Troy and besieged Troy for 10 years before using the wooden horse to break through their defences and smuggle troops inside the city. And Achilles, the legendary warrior of Greece, who was dipped in the river Styx and could only be killed by an arrow in his heel, Achilles' heel. The point here is that Mykines is an amazing place to visit. Here we are going down into the cistern, the water supply for this fortress city. And you can easily spend 2 or 3 hours here engrossed in the archaeology and the history and the stories of ancient myth and legend, because this is where they arose. And I would highly recommend it as the first stop on a tour. Some people would say go to Corinth. Personally, I think Corinth is a little bit boring. The canal is a cut in the ground. Once you've seen it, you've seen it. You need 10 minutes. But this has a fantastic museum to go with the ruins that you're seeing. This museum, in my opinion, whilst small, is one of the best you'll ever see, because the finds at Mykines are astonishing. You're talking about 3,500 years of Greek history here. The Mask of Agamemnon, although it was shown to be about 400 years before Troy itself, and I'd just recommend this. The second stop on our tour are the Roman ruins at Argos. And this is about 15 to 20 minutes drive from Mykines. It's very, very easy. But unlike Mykines, it's not busy. You don't get a lot of people coming down here. Argos as a town itself isn't fantastic nowadays, but the Roman ruins are amazing. And I just don't understand why more people don't come down here to view them. Much of the old Roman town still exists as ruins. Here we see the original public Roman baths. The archaeology and the construction is completely different, of course, to Mykines. Here we have the Argos Theatre. There are actually 2 theatres here. There was a small one with 2,500 people, and this one which held 20,000 people. And this one is cut into the bedrock of the hill itself. It's not stones which have been cut and laid down. This is actually physically cut into the bedrock of the hill. It's amazing. And at the time, it was the largest theatre in Greece. Forget Athens, forget Epidavros. It was the largest here. And you only get a sense of the scale as you actually walk up and you realise just how far up the hill this goes. And you can see, as I said, cut out of the bedrock with Argos as it stands nowadays laid out before you. But not only do you have the Roman baths and 2 Roman theatres here, you also have the old ancient Agora. And it's maybe not as exciting as the theatre and the baths, but it's still fascinating. And as with all Greek sites, Greek historical or archaeological sites, it's very well laid out, very well explained with these tablets that you see. And you can get a real feel for the Roman history, which was as far from where we were on stop 1, Mykines, as we are from the Romans itself. So 1,500, 2,000 years after Mykines, the Romans were here. Now, 1,500, 2,000 years after the Romans, we are here. And it's amazing looking at this history in Argos. The third stop on our tour is about 20 minutes from Argos. Again, a beautiful drive around the bay that you can see there. And this is Nafplio. It's a medieval fortress city, and it brings us forward another 1,000 years. The castle on the hill here was constructed in 1675. The castle in the harbour that you will see was constructed in 1245. So we're effectively on this tour taking in 3,000 years of Greek history. And this is the place you come in the late afternoon for some shopping, for some rest and relaxation, perhaps to have a late lunch or an early evening meal and stay into the evening. Nafplio is a Venetian-styled city. It was ruled by the Venetians until the Turkish took it in 1715, and it remained in Turkish hands until the Greek Revolution of 1821, when it became the first capital of Greece in 1826. So you have this amazing mix of medieval, Venetian, and also Ottoman-styled architecture, which just makes up a fantastic place to explore. It has little alleyways, it has this beautiful harbour and an amazing sunset. After a hot day in Mykines and Argos, this is the perfect place just to come and cool down with a drink by the harbour, explore the alleyways, watch the sunset. It's beautiful. See the boats that come in with the tourists on them. There are some amazing boats. Here we see the Burzi in the harbour, the castle built in about 1245 to protect the harbour, known as the Harbour of Chains, because they used to drag chains across the entrance of the harbour to close it to aggressive ships. And this, in contrast to Mykines, in contrast to Argos, brings effectively a historical close to our little tour. You started in Mykines at 1600 BC, and we finish here in Nafplio in modern day, and going back to the Greek Revolution of 1821, the Turkish occupation, the Venetian occupation, and we see modern day Greece and the history which has created this from the times of mythology through to the Greek people of today. Should you not wish to drive the hour and a half back to Athens from Nafplio, then I would recommend you stay here a night. There are many small hotels here which are easily booked, and if you want something a bit more luxurious, you can go to the Nafplio Palace on the hill, which is a 5 or 6 star hotel. That will give you the opportunity to explore the city in the evening, to see the nightlife of Nafplio, and it just comes to life, particularly in the summer months. It buzzes with people and shops and culture and history and food and fine wines. It's well worth staying here if you get the opportunity to. But should you wish to drive back to Athens, it's an easy hour and a half drive. Should you wish to add other stops on this tour, there's Corinth with its canal, and also the old town where St. Paul the Apostle preached. There's Nemea, where Hercules slew the lion, and there's also Tiryns. But I would recommend this suggested tour of Mykines, Argos and Nafplio as a balanced and beautiful day out, should you wish to find more out about Greece.